Hi, Scott Houston here. You know what? I've been really stewing and pondering the last few months, comparing students in my pianoandaflash.com online method who are really shining and just making great progress versus students who are struggling a little bit more in the program and moving a lot more slowly. Well, after kind of stewing through all that, I've identified something that has bubbled to the surface that really seems to separate some students versus the others, and I want to share it with you in this quick video. Hi, gang. We're always trying to refine and kind of keep improving the results that we see in our online method at pianoandaflash.com. It's really kind of a fun, living laboratory as we keep getting more and more great data and feedback as more and more students enroll and work their way through the 6 courses in the full method. I guess it's kind of an aside. The great thing about that is that I can then make kind of continuous incremental improvements to the method because I can add more or I can revise lessons and exercises and we can add more supplementary resources if needed, where we think we need to give students a little boost in some areas that maybe, I didn't knock it out of the ballpark first time around. So it just keeps getting better and better. But anyway, when I was looking at all of that stuff and I was thinking about students and the progress, I just kept feeling that kind of beyond the actual nuts and bolts of exactly how quickly they were getting through something, there was something else that was seemingly causing some students to just kind of sail through the method really smoothly, while others were still going through it, but they were kind of kicking and screaming a little bit, right? Now, I think it had nothing to do with skill or previous experience, because some of them were not asking a single question. I mean, students-wise, right? And this is out of both groups. And others were asking me about everything under the sun in both groups. And there also didn't seem to be a correlation between those students that had taken lessons previously and came into the thing with some skill versus those that were just starting from scratch. Again, there were some of both of those camps in both of those groups. So after really pondering this, I really have been stewing on this for a while, I think I finally kind of put my finger on the pulse of the situation. And the reality is that it just comes down to the mindset of what the students have coming into the program. So I want to delve into that just a little further, and I want to share with you the mindset of the students that are really succeeding the most and the fastest. I think it's an important thing to get out to everyone. Now, I want to show this graphic here because I think this might kind of help visualize the process. I mean, at least as I kind of see and perceive it, right? I mean, from a view from 10,000 feet, when you start, you come in with some mindset, or maybe you can call it a preconceived idea if that works better for you, of whatever it is that you're trying to tackle. In this case, it's learning to have some fun playing piano, right? Now, you then bring that mindset into the game with you, and you start taking some action to achieve a goal. And in this case, you're enrolling, and you're starting to work through the method, and you're starting to take my instruction and the lessons and the exercises and whatnot. And then after some amount of effort, you're going to achieve some results, good or bad. But there'll be results nonetheless. So some result is going to come out of this process, right? Okay, then. Now, what I'm finding out is that this mindset at the very beginning, it's turning out to be, I think, super consequential to the end results that my students are experiencing. So let me list just a few potential mindsets. I've kind of created these baskets that I've found pretty well cover the vast majority of what I think my students are feeling coming into the method as newly enrolled students. And I think almost everyone falls into kind of one of these mental baskets. So the first one is people that are thinking, this method obviously works for some people, but it probably won't work for me. I just don't think I'm, and again, you can insert your own put down here, whether you're smart enough or talented enough or young enough or whatever it is, but somebody says, I'm just not good enough to do this, but I'm just going to cross my fingers and give it a whirl. So, those folks maybe I call that basket the non-confident ones, right? They don't discount the fact that the course would work and the seriousness of it. They just don't think they have what it takes to do it, right? So they come in kind of feeling that way. Now, another similar group, but kind of a twist on that is the people that come in and say, look, I have tried to play piano previously to no avail, maybe multiple times as a kid, as an adult. I'm just going to hope that Scott can work a miracle and teach me this time, right? This is my last chance, right? Well, those people, I kind of think of that mindset as kind of the wing in the prayer group, right? They're thinking, well, I've got one more chance and this is it. It's all or nothing now, and they're doing this the whole way, right? So there's that group. Now, this next group, which is a small but vocal group, are the ones that just come in, thinking this is all crazy. And they're like, this is just hogwash. Lots of times it's accompanied by, some relative of mine, my wife or my spouse or my something, is a classical piano teacher, and I know better, you charlatan. I've been doing this for years, and just to prove you're wrong, I'm going to enroll, and then I'll send it all back in. But then, kind of in hushed tones under the breath, or mentally under the breath, they're saying, however, I sure would like to sound the way you play, right? And I don't want to have to rely so much on reading music all the time. So there's still some sort of an intrigue there for them. So that's funny. Folks like that we kind of refer to in the office as the know-alls, and who I always kind of laugh and say, well, if they really knew it all, they would have been exposed to this completely legit yet very different style of playing, a long time before ever coming across my method. And, I'll say this again, and I've said it a million times in public. I did not invent any whiz-bang new way to teach or play piano, right? Non-classical professional piano players have been playing like this for 100 years. I just decided if I brought something to the table, it's that I decided to kind of bring this style to the masses through, the TV shows originally and now these online lessons, rather than kind of keep it under wraps for just the insiders, right? So it's funny, as bothered by what I seem to represent to those folks, as they are, and that kind of makes me laugh too. I'm like, gosh, how could someone get so up in arms over trying to teach piano? Sheesh. We're not trying to split atoms here, right? But this very small crowd, they're too intrigued not to go ahead and try. But boy, they're waiting. They're clearly getting in feet first rather than head first, and they're just waiting for that moment when they can, off with his head, right? They're ready to shout that at the first moment of, that they think something's, hocus pocus about it. So actually another side to that, the great backstory to that group is that inevitably, which is why we all giggle about it here in the office, after a slow start of getting over, total disbelief, very often some of our very best students come out of that group. So it's kind of a great, end of the story, right? A good, what is that, epilogue, I guess. So anyway, those are all the mindsets. Those 3 or 4 mindsets are the ones that are associated with having, I think, a tougher road to hoe as you work through the method. And it doesn't mean you're not going to succeed, because I still have many students, like I said, that do succeed, that share those thoughts with me at some point. It's just that it's not as smooth and efficient a journey. It's taking longer, and they're kind of going through more roadblocks. There's a lot more potholes and detours along the route that are caused solely by fighting these mental roadblocks, I believe, and it has nothing to do with the physical reality of learning to play the piano. So instead of those mindsets, now, what is the mindset that I've kind of found that students who have the most fun and they're getting through things the easiest and the fastest? Well, it's something more along these lines. All right, and again, this is self-talk out of the student's brain, not trying to talk about myself in, third person or whatever that is. So the ones that are having a great time are saying, look, I know Scott's taught this way nonstop on public TV, and in a ton of books and videos, and now in this online method forever, for 20 plus years. And even if I've never heard about this style of playing, or I'm clueless about it, it just can't be some total hocus pocus BS, or he'd have been tarred and feathered and run out of town long before now, right? And then after learning about the whole program, and I've checked it out, I've seen the tons of testimonials from actual students, I do totally trust that Scott knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to teach piano this way. And then, and this might be, kind of the king of the kingdom as far as the most important thing, they say, look, I don't feel like I need to be the smartest or the most experienced or the most talented or anything, but I know what I am is coachable, right? I'm at a point where I am ready to take this instruction. I want to be taught how to play piano in this style. I'm ready to be taught, and the doors are open to take instruction. And boy, I just think that's critical, And to kind of add, syrup to the top of this sundae, this kind of mindset is saying, look, I don't think it's going to take a miracle. Nor do I think Scott has a magic wand. It's just that I'm confident that if I just simply go through the program, listening, watching the lessons, using the books, and actually taking action. I mean, it's not going to happen by itself, but I'm actually taking some action and applying myself by spending some time, at a piano, that I can join the thousands of people Scott's taught in the past and can get to a point of having fun playing. And they have this carrot out in front that says, I know this is going to bring me immeasurable joy and pride to know that I did this, right? I think an analogy is probably, anyone who's ever trained for, say, a half marathon or something where you just know there's thousands of other people doing it, or they've done it in the past, right? And there are some that are a lot more athletic than you and some that are a lot less athletic than you. But you know darn well that if you just go through the effort of getting the miles in with those smaller runs for 10 or 12 weeks, you're going to have what it takes to run the darn thing in the end. There's no mystery, there's no miracle. And to make this point, you're going to have some rough days where you feel terrible, and you're going to have some where you feel better and it's smoother. But you also know that beyond the individual days, if you just follow the program, in the end, you're going to achieve the goal. Well, that, my friends, is the mindset that our most successful students have, right? They're not constantly, waiting for any small difficulty to kind of mentally trip their, see, I knew it wouldn't work switch, right? That they have the calmness and the confidence to just take the instruction as I give it without constantly judging themselves harshly, or me harshly, I guess. And they are asking questions when needed without obsessing over perfection. And they're letting their brain and their hands slowly absorb this cool new stuff that they're feeding themselves, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, but it also isn't going to take years, right? They relish in the fact that they're finally chipping away at something they've wanted to do, for most people, I think, their entire lives. So I guess in short, they're having fun, they're enjoying the process, and they're remaining receptive. That's the big thing, to these new kind of bite-sized chunks that I just keep dosing out throughout the courses. It's really the beauty of the way that I designed the pedagogy of this and the capability that we have due to this being available 24/7 online, as opposed to having to go for kind of a big blast every 7 days in a private lesson. I mean, it is just this ultimate real-world example, of this old adage of, well, how to eat an elephant? One small bite at a time, right? So if you're pondering enrolling in the course, or even if you are a current student just starting out, and if maybe one of those kinds of negative mindsets I described kind of poked you in the ribs a little bit, try to get your mindset more squared away with simply being open to taking instruction without all this preconceived judgment, and have faith in the process. This has worked for literally thousands upon thousands of people before you, right? You're not a guinea pig. And assuming that you're willing to trust the process and just take the consistent, small, easily digestible bites of instruction, there is not a reason in the world this won't work for you too. As always, have fun playing piano. Thanks for your time.